Hello, creatives, and welcome to another edition of Naked Mondays. So, I have one question to ask you today. How is your heart? Is it in a state of confusion? Is it hurt? Is it broken? Um, are you finding yourself just rudderless after a breakup or after a separation? Um, I want to dig deep in this conversation today because just like you, I have experienced love, I've experienced loss, and recently I had to release a relationship that was really, really special to me, but I think we both knew that it had run its course. So let's talk about it and let's get naked. If this is the first time that you're joining me, my name is Nadia Johnson, and my channel is The Nadia Effect. And I am the self published author of the current two book series that will eventually be a four-book series titled Remembering June. And I also wrote the first book in what will be a three-book series called Unmasked that is currently unavailable, which I will get into in another video. But those are the works that I currently have out there. And again, I am so excited to be here discussing this particular topic. So, welcome and thank you for being here. And if you are a person who wants to pivot in your creative journey like I'm trying to, this is the channel for you. So let's do the work together. Let's and see where it leads us. I am so excited for all of you to start commenting and letting me know where you are in your creative journey, because that's really important to me as well. I don't want to be just sitting here talking at you. I would also like, your feedback and find out from you what your struggles are in your creative journey and where you are and what you're writing or what you're working on, whether it be music or art or whatever. I'd like to know it all. So let's talk about it. So you might be asking yourself, why this topic? Why on a channel that is supposed to be dedicated to our creative journey? Why I would choose to speak about a topic like reclaiming your heart after a breakup? So I'm going to answer it for you. I think that in my own creative journey, when I have faced any kind of adversity, it has been really difficult for me to create. So, this isn't only going to be a conversation where I talk to you about my own, my own break, kind of separation from this person, but also I want to discuss how our heart affects the creative process and when it's broken, or, you know, when we're sad and we've kind of lost sight of things, how it can affect the creative process. So I hope that you'll stay with me and that you will walk through this process with me, and then I will share some tips at the end that I am using to reclaim my heart. So like every great story, my love story has a beginning, a middle, and then now currently an end. So let's talk about the beginning. So I met my love a on a website, and it was long distance. He was in England and I was here. And I won't say his name because, you know, that's just not something that I'm willing to do. But I will say that I spent the next 6 years from 2005 until about 2011 growing my relationship with him. I did something very much crazy when I first met him. I flew all the way to Ireland to meet him the first time, and you know, I was absolutely terrified and afraid and scared, but I flew there to meet him, and I got there first and I got lost. It was crazy. I'm wandering around Ireland and I don't have any idea of where the check-in spot is because he had actually booked a place for us to stay for the week, and I remember just wandering around Ireland trying to find this place, and I ran into a young lady who was very helpful and who actually helped me to find what I was looking for. And at the time, I was a black woman wandering around with blonde braids in Ireland. So you can imagine the looks that I got and the craziness that ensued. But I made it to the space where we stayed for the week, and I was there first. And if you've ever met someone for the first time, whether it be on a first date or, you know, you flew to them like I did, and you're meeting them for the first time, it was kind of, you know, 90 Day Fiance-esque, but it was without the fiance part. And it was scary and it was exciting and it was different. And I wasn't sure if we were going to click or if we were going to have anything or the chemistry that we had over the phone and over chat and over, you know, video calls was going to translate into reality. And when he arrived, there were nerves and there were there was awkwardness, but it was everything that I had hoped that it would be. From there, I think we I had waited 9 months to meet him because I am a person that I take things extremely slow. I don't think you need to be in a hurry. And plus, I didn't know him. He was a stranger, and I was flying somewhere to a foreign country where I didn't know who he was, if he was going to be the person that he said he was, or any of that stuff. Well, actually, I did know he was the person he said he was, because I had seen him, so I guess I should take that back. But it still was a scary process. So I waited 9 months before we actually met for the first time. After that exciting trip, because it was beautiful, it was everything that I hoped that it would be. It was fun. We laughed, we cuddled, we kissed, we did all the things that I was hoping that would happen during that time. And it was brand new. And when I left that trip sad but hopeful. And um he soon after I arrived home asked me to be his girlfriend because we hadn't made it official, but he asked me to be his girlfriend and I accepted, and that is where my love story begins. I felt early on that he was my person. Like, I didn't think I was going to have to look again for love. I thought, you know, this is my guy. I'm not I'm not looking for anything else. He was spontaneous, he was adventurous, he was fun. He was responsible with money in a way that at the time I was not responsible with money. He loved his dad and his brother and his entire family. And I also was really at the time really connected with my family, and so that made it even better. Um, he liked to travel, so he would take, like, I think months, like 3 months, and he would travel. And while we were together, he traveled to let's see. he traveled to Thailand, he traveled to Japan, and I believe he traveled to Australia. And when he did the Australia trip, that is when he came to visit me. Um, our relationship in the beginning, I really felt like it was going to be it for me. I really thought that, you know, we were going to live. I thought I was getting my happily ever after. Um, but I naively did not see that there were things that we were kind of neglecting to address. So the first probably like 2 to 3 years were were easy. Um, when we started going through more issues was probably in years through 4 through 6. During the time that we were together, it was completely long distance, and we only really interacted were in the same place twice. Um, the time that we met in Ireland, and then again when he traveled to see me here. Well, at the time I wasn't here in Colorado. I was actually living in New Jersey. So he came to visit me in New Jersey. And that at that point we were almost probably about 5.5 years into the relationship, and there hadn't been any real talks about what we were going to do to bring ourselves closer together, or whether we were still planning on living together, or any of the important stuff that you should be talking about in a long distance relationship. And I realize now that 6 years in a relationship without talking, a long distance relationship, especially without talking about that stuff, is kind of not, it's not good. Um, it should be addressed earlier in the relationship. Like, it's not the fact that we were in a long distance relationship for 6 years, it's that we weren't discussing these things. And I was just kind of ignoring the fact that, you know, we weren't moving forward. But in that particular year, I was feeling the nudge in my, you know, my heart that I wanted to be with him full time, and I wanted to start a life, because at that point I was edging towards 30, and I didn't want, you know, didn't want children, but I did want to be with the person that I loved. And so it was really difficult being away from him. And when I tried to broach the subject with him, when he visited me in New Jersey, that is when I realized that we were on two different pages, and things got rough. I'm not going to get into all the gory details of what happened because I don't really think that it's important, but we eventually parted ways, and um it left me shattered, because the person that I had believed was going to be my person was suddenly like stripped from my life. And I am sure that if you've been in love and you've had a relationship fail, or you've had a relationship fall apart, you will understand what I was feeling at that time. And I went through probably about 2 years of just not feeling like myself. And I was broken and sad and upset that it hadn't worked out the way that I wanted it to. And I blocked him on all social media, and I refused to talk to him. And um then he probably about 6 months later, he entered a new relationship, and I have no words for what I was feeling at that time except just rage. So I let the rage take over, and I let the sadness take over, and I felt what I felt. And I just felt lost. And I didn't know how I was going to get out of that. And I'm glad that I did finally seek professional professional help, and I began to see my therapist, and she is still my therapist to this day. So at this stage, I knew that he was in a new relationship, and that relationship lasted about 3 years. And um, at the end of that relationship, there was a reconnection in the fact that he reached out to me and told me that he wanted to make things work with me and wanted to create a life with me, and all the things he was saying, all of the things that I had been wanting him to say all those years ago. And it felt good at the time because I had started to put my life back together, and I was feeling more sure of myself, and I felt more ready to go back into the relationship. But what I neglected to see was that I was basically going to be, that he was leaving one relationship, and I think he was seeking solace in me because I was familiar. So I didn't see that at the time, but as I'm talking about it now, I can see it, and I see it clearly. And no one wants to feel like they are the second choice, right? And this isn't saying anything bad about him. He is a good person. He's a good person, but I don't think that was the appropriate time for us to reconnect. And the universe didn't think so either because it never happened. So that's that. So from 2005 until the beginning of 2023, he and I were both in and out of each other's lives. Um, he had been in relationships, I had been in relationships. I'm not sure when we decided to reconnect, but again, we had reconnected, we were talking, we weren't talking as regularly as I would have liked, and we weren't connecting in the ways that I would have liked to connect, but I stayed. And um I think I started to realize that it just wasn't enough. And I there were multiple times where I felt like I wanted to just walk away, and he would always draw me back in. So the last time he drew me back in, he told me that he had an opportunity to move to the States. And I wanted to make it clear why he was asking, why he was telling me that. And he let me know that, if the plan did come through and he did move to the United States, that he wanted us to rekindle our relationship. And again, I felt the flutters in my belly, and I just got really excited because I thought, oh, this is when it's going to happen. We are both, different people now, and we're going to do this because this is our time. And so he told me to give him a year because things were still in negotiations, and that was in the beginning, I believe, of 2022. And you know, as the year of 2022 wore on, I realized that, with COVID and everything, things had been delayed. But I also realized that we weren't really discussing his moving here to the United States anymore. It wasn't something that was a topic of conversation. He hadn't been talking to me about, his company still moving here or anything. And by the end of 2023, probably around my birthday, probably in October, I started to realize that it probably was not going to happen. So not only did I realize that it probably was not going to happen, but I also realized all the time that I had spent. Because granted, I had met him in 2005. I had had a 6-year relationship with him. and broken up with him, and we had dated other people and lived our lives beyond that, and then it had all culminated to this thing where he was supposed to be moving here, and it did not happen. And I was angry, and I let him know that, I was done wasting my time, done doing this back and forth with him. And and it was hard because I told him, if I leave, and this was not an ultimatum, this was a promise, if we part ways this time, I am not coming back. And I meant it, because I had spent, I think at that point, it was probably like 17 years with this one person, being the person that I wanted everything with, that it just wasn't working. And the universe was just blocking us at every turn. And so I was just tired. And I was thinking to myself, I know he had to be tired at that point, because, I mean, it just wasn't coming together. So it was time for us to move on. So the decision to move on, I think, was pretty amicable. It was in no way, it has been in no way hard, like, I mean, easy. In this, I think my last correspondence with him was probably in the middle of January, and I haven't talked to him since, because I have really made it a point to try to move forward, even if that means that I end up a single woman for the rest of my life. So now that I've shared with you just kind of like the footnotes of my love story, um, comment below, if how your heart is feeling, and comment on how it might be affecting your creativity. Um, I actually um, think that during that time I wasn't creating anything because my heart was broken. But I did go on to begin writing my first novel, Remembering June, what was it, in 2000, I think I started it in 2010, and I did not end up publishing it um, until 2014, because it took some time. I had been working on it for about 8 years, and it took a lot of time and a lot of energy. And at the time, I wanted to become a traditionally published author, which in some ways I still feel like at some point I want to explore that option. But right now, I am happy being a self-published author because of the freedom that it gives me of when I want to create, and um, it gives me the space to really produce products that I can be proud of. So anyway, so comment below on, where your heart is right now. Is it broken? Is it happy? Is it shattered? Is it confused? Tell me about, some of your relationship highlights. So now I'd like to talk about, now that we've gone through all of that, I'd like to talk about how I am reclaiming my heart. And when I say reclaiming my heart, I think there is a part of me that handed my heart to this person and I never got it back, which is why I was always willing to run back and always willing and open to explore whatever our relationship was going to be, because my heart was with him and I had never taken it back. And so I'm reclaiming my heart this year, as I move forward and as I try to embrace life as a single woman. And the first thing that I'm doing to do that is I'm committing to getting to know myself fully. The good, the bad, and the ugly. A lot of people that I know that are in relationships or have been in relationships in the past, they don't give themselves enough time to heal and to really sit with themselves and to really evaluate what they want or the person that they're becoming outside of the relationship. And I am committed to me and knowing myself fully so that no one else can define for me who I am or what is expected of me, because I want to know myself so well that when someone comes to me and they're talking to me about myself, if it doesn't ring true for me for what I know about myself, then I can take it with a grain of salt. So commit to getting to know yourself after a breakup or a separation. Get to know the good, the bad, and the ugly about who you are. Know you first, so that when you go into a new relationship, you go into it with a fresh set of eyes and a new understanding about the person that you are post breakup. So the second point that I am going to stress on reclaiming my heart this year is you have to let go. And it's easier said than done. You have to let go of whatever vision that you had of what the relationship was, and you have to honestly look at where you are now versus what you expected the relationship to be, and letting go of anything that is holding you tethered to that person. And like I said, it is easier said than done. This process of letting go and really letting go, because I think in the past I have tried to hold on to the notion that we would one day figure this out. But really letting go is really surrendering to the fact that it's done and that there is no going back, and that you only have one way to go, and that is forward. And I've asked myself often if suddenly, things were to change and the situation were to change, if I would be willing to explore something with him. And honestly, after all of these years, the honest answer is no. I think I've spent enough time, and I think that I need to move forward with someone who is on the same page that I'm on. And there's no resentment here towards him. I understand that people are where they are. You can't force them to be anything other than what they are. And I'm in a place in my life where I'm trying to learn to accept that what is what is. And I don't need to force it. I don't need to run after it, because if it is for me, it is for me. So let go. And I know it's hard, but you will be much better off for it if you learn to truly let go and truly surrender. So the third point that I would like to stress is ask the hard questions. Yes, ask the hard questions. Like things like, why did you stay? Things like, what were your expectations walking in? Things like, how did you contribute to the either the dysfunction or the toxicity in the relationship? How did you participate in, what the relationship became? Because I think a lot of times when we exit a relationship, especially someone who we care about and we really have devoted some time to, I think our natural inclination is to point the finger at them, when really we are pointing two fingers at ourselves, because we we participated in the relationship. We stayed. We made the decisions that we made, and we can't blame the other person for that. Um, we can say that it was love. We can say whatever we need to do to justify it. But you have to ask yourself the hard questions, the whys, the reasons behind why you did what you did, because that is the only way that I truly believe that you can begin to dig deeper. Um, and I really feel like it is instrumental in helping you to move forward. I don't think that you can move forward without asking the hard questions and without coming to terms with why you made the decisions that you made. So again, my third point I'd like to stress is ask the hard questions. Dig deep. Dig really, really deep. So my fourth point I would like to stress in what I'm doing to reclaim my heart is don't be in a hurry. Don't believe the hype that your clock is ticking and you're never going to meet anybody, and you do not have to rush back into dating. And in fact, I would recommend that you don't. I have tried a few times over recent years, even while I was still, kind of trying to reconcile with this person, like, tried to date, tried to put myself out there, tried to do what I could to try to move forward. And I don't want to put any bad juju out into the universe, but I will say this, that dating is not what it used to be when I got to know this person in 2005. Um, Dating is different because it's different because of technology, and it's different because people are different. They don't I think that in entering back into this, you don't need to be in a hurry, because if you push yourself before you're ready, I think it could be disastrous, and it could set you back from actually finding the love that you desire. So currently, I am trying to focus on myself, like I said, which, it's okay to be selfish after ending something, after a separation, after a breakup. It's okay to be a little selfish, um, because you need the time to reconnect with who you are. And so don't be in a hurry to date or to put yourself back out there. Take your time, be honest with yourself about where you are, and make adjustments as you need to. The fifth and final point I would like to make is taking the time to explore what you want out of a future relationship. Think about it, write it down in order to manifest it. Um, I'm taking that time to really discover for myself what I want to bring to a future relationship, what I need from a future partner. Um, you know, I think as I used to think as a I used to think that as a trans woman that it would be harder for me to find love, but what I've come to realize is that it's hard for all women. It's not just hard for me because I'm trans. It's hard because people are different. People are different. I hear the horror stories from my women friends about the things that they go through in dating. And but they're still putting themselves out there. They still believe in love. They still believe that they can find love. I am at a place where I know that I'm not at that place yet where I believe that I will find love. I believe that love what I do believe is that I want love. I want a partner. I want someone who's on the same page as me. I want someone who wants to create a life with me, like a serious life, and not just one that's in the shadows, or one where it's convenient for them. I want a real life with someone who really cares about me and respects me and wants what's best for me, because that's what I'm bringing to a relationship. And so for crumbs from people. Don't settle for less than what you deserve from people, because I promise you, finding the real thing will be worth it, way more worth it than settling for someone's scraps. And that doesn't matter whether you're trans, cisgender, whatever you are. Don't settle. I do believe in love. I want to make that clear. I believe that love exists. I just think that for me right now, I am not in a place where love is a priority. I want to make other things a priority, but I do want to do the work to ensure that I do find the love that I want, because I do want that eventually. So that's that. So that wraps up this edition of Naked Mondays. I appreciate you being here so much, and I really hope that by sharing these kind of stories that it will help not only you, but that it will help me as well. Um you may still be asking why I choose to share these kind of things on a creative channel. But again, I just want to stress that when you are not feeling your best, or when you go through something that is hard in life, it affects every part of your life and your creative life, especially. Um, so it is important that we talk about the things that affect our everyday life, because those things need to be talked about. They need to be discussed. Um, we need to realize that we have a safe place to come to when things get hard. Um, because we need each other. And to hear me say that is kind of crazy, because I am very much a loner and an introvert, but I realize that we do need each other. And as I continue to build this community, I'm going to reveal more things about myself, because it's important to me that you know me fully and wholly, and that I also know you in that way as well. So if you like this video, I hope that you will subscribe. I hope that you will share. I hope that you will like and comment. Um, those are those are the two most important, the like and the comment. Because I want to hear from you. I want to hear what your thoughts are about my videos, what you hope to do to reclaim your heart that I did not mention here, that might help someone else. So please, as we create this community, let's comment, let's like, let's do all the things. And I will catch you in my next video. Have a great week.